I did a lot of conversations and debating with leftists, Democrats, progressives this entire weekend. And it was really an opportunity for me to get a glimpse on what are their tactics, what conversations are they really having. And what I have found is, well, not much. What their tactics really are, and let me explain how things really unfolded this weekend through these debates, is you go into a room, they will ask you, well, why are you voting for Donald Trump? And if you say the border, meaning border security, they're automatically going to go to Mr. Garcia, the Maryland man. They're going to go automatically to due process and to violent gang members being allowed to be in the interior of the country. Now, what's the end conclusion that I found with all of that? Well, these leftists want all these illegals to be allowed into the country with amnesty, basically. And then what I've also found is, if you talk about the economy, mind you, you never actually get to your full-blown point. Yeah, you never get that far because you just get kicked off and banned or just kicked, silenced, muted, all these other things. So you actually don't ever get to your point on really why you voted for Donald Trump. So it's funny they go directly to, okay, well, let's pick the border then, because that's what you said, Brad. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Do you think Mr. Garcia should have been deported? They never actually ask you, which is your job, by the way, when you're going into the debate, what part of the border was it specifically that you voted for Trump on? Which was, by the way, border security. You never get that far. In the same way, Jeff, actually, we all know Jeff. Jeff was in TikTok with me yesterday, and we were talking about the debt. I said, hey, border security and the debt crisis that we have. And they stated we don't have a debt crisis. Mind you, I never got to what my full-blown opinion is on the debt and what I meant by the debt crisis and what I meant by what specifically I wanted out of Donald J. Trump regarding this whole thing. They wanted to ask me, well, what is debt? You know, how do we pay down that debt? Well, for them, they were right in the sense of, we don't actually pay down the debt right now with our tax dollars, but we do, by the way, because my definition of debt was any money that is owed. And guess what? We owe $1 trillion on our debt. And guess what pays for that? We do. But according to these clowns, and Jeff was in there, by the way, Jeff's in YouTube right now. He can verify this with me. They don't think that we're responsible for this debt. They don't think that we should have to pay this off. They legitimately said that. And thank you, all they do is shut you off so you can't respond. Thank you. I love that somebody else was in there. And by the way, I got to hear Jeff's voice, which Jeff's voice was not exactly what I was expecting. Jeff, you have a very manly voice. But they were saying, well, you know, we could pay it off today. And my point was, we could do anything. Doesn't mean you should. We could pay it down now. But they just want to keep kicking the can down the road. And I never was able to get to my point of, well, your tax dollars are still going to have to go towards paying off that principal at some point. At some point. And then they were like, well, when did we ever have debt? And I'm like, well, I want to get to the point about Doge here in a moment. So I mentioned, well, Clinton had a surplus. And they're like, well, you don't know the difference between a deficit and a debt. Case to be made in their context of what I provided, they would be right in their thinking. But Clinton, I mean, it is debatable whether he had a surplus or not, but we've really always had debt in some way, shape, or form. We were always borrowing. So this is what they kind of do. They try to do to get you to have gotchas, gotcha, get you, botcha, beat a voodoo. And so what I found was, yeah, you never actually get to make your position for why you voted for Trump. They just automatically go to something that you might actually even be for. It's really wild stuff. But I want to share that with you. Really wild weekend on these debates over at TikTok. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's really good to be doing it all the time because these people are really scummy, man. These people are gross. Not all of them, by the way. I had some really good conversations with people, some fun people on the Democrat side of the aisle. I got to say, they were really nice. They were really sweet and kind. We just had disagreements. It's the progressive left. These people will target you. They'll come after you. They said they were going to report me for using AI to write my book. I don't know. It is really, really a wild weekend with these people. Jeff says U.S. taxpayers contribute to paying down the national debt through various taxes, and interest on the debt is paid out of the federal budget, which is funded by taxes. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. And I believe I kept saying in the debate, our taxes pay for this. And by the way, I actually even said the word interest in there as well. I said we have interest on the debt of $1 trillion that we pay. But, is what it is what it is. I sent that guy a message that cut you off about the national debt. No response. Of course. No, he's too busy probably polishing his aviators that Joe Biden gave him in exchange for sniffing his children. But let's get to the news here. We have Donald Trump reopening Alcatraz, opening the museum, and a lot of other news. So why don't we get to it? Trump announces plan to rebuild and open notorious prison and bid to undercut activist judges. Here we go. Buckle up, baby. Trump's always finding a way. Life finds a way. President Donald Trump announced early Sunday evening that he was directing his administration to rebuild and reopen the notorious island prison Alcatraz, located just over a mile off the California coast near San Francisco. San Francisco. Trump delivered the announcement in a post to his Truth Social platform, saying in part that he wanted to use the prison once it was renovated and expanded to help house criminal illegal aliens if the Democrats carefully shopped district court judges to continue to block his efforts to deport them. So if he can't deport them, well, okay, I'll just send them here then. And then what are they going to do? I mean, they can't do anything. The guy is really trying to do everything, and I absolutely am all for it. Trump is, he's a thinker, folks. But remember, according to the left, he's stupid. Oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. Y'all loved him before when he was a billionaire giving y'all his money when he was a Democrat. Yeah, you guys loved him then, but all of a sudden, yeah, no, he's a bad man. Yeah, he just flipped like that. He's a different person, even though he's been saying this stuff for decades. Rebuild and open Alcatraz, Trump's post began. For too long, America has been plagued with vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. And these are the people, and I got it out of them. I got it out of the horse's mouth themselves. We're saying they want these people in our country, by the way. When we were a more serious nation in past times, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's why it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be, he continued. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally, Trump concluded. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law and order and justice. We will make America great again. By the way, they keep mentioning due process for a lot of these illegal aliens, but if you are a known criminal, you actually don't get due process. You are just deported. You don't even get to seek asylum. You don't get any of that. You are just deported. So if you are a known criminal, like those 200 gang members were, you don't get due process. You had it. That's why you're called a known criminal, because we've proven you to be a said what? Criminal, which means you have court filings already in there saying that you committed a crime. Come on. But again, you can't explain that to these people because the end result goes against their narrative. They don't like it. They think Trump's bad, and they're going to reason and rationale their way through until they are right, even though they are wrong at the end of the day. These people deserve due process. You ask them. The guy that murdered somebody, the guy down the street that beheaded somebody that's been here illegally for 20 years, that guy should still stay here. They should get due process. Okay. Gotcha. So we will see what happens with this, but I like this idea a lot with Alcatraz. It's going to take a lot of money to, make it great again, but everything takes money, but creating more jobs, I suppose, huh? So we will see what goes on with Alcatraz. You also have other people, these psychos, coming out and saying majority of GOP lawmakers think Trump's tariffs are crazy. Well, you're also the lady that doesn't think it's illegal to cross the border. You don't think certain crimes are illegal. I mean, lady, you've said a lot of silly stuff already, and nobody really knows who you are. The only reason we know who you are is because you said stupid stuff like AOC. That's why we know who you are. Jasmine Crockett says that behind closed doors, many Republicans are questioning the decisions of Trump administration and openly saying how things are crazy. Oh, are they really? Okay. The Texas Democrat said that members of the GOP would publicly do whatever Trump wants them to do at all times, but that many saw the ongoing chaos caused by the Trump's tariffs as a problem. I don't see any chaos, by the way. It's so, again, they keep injecting like, the world's on fire. We're all going down. Things are ablaze. How does Brad know this? How does Brad know this is what they are saying? Because again, I'm talking to them, literally talking to them. The economy is crashing. We're going into a depression. These are all things I heard, by the way, from people I was debating. The economy's tanking. We're going down. But yeah, if you go through any of their TikToks, you go through those debaters, what you will find is not a single thing over Joey's 4-year term of all the dips that are the same. Crash. It's terrible. It's a recession. Crockett made the remarks during an interview with CNN on Friday night, saying that the massive cuts in the president's recent budget proposal were absolutely insane. Well, of course, coming to a Democrat, they would seem insane. But cuts need to be made, lady. We're $37 trillion in debt. It'd be nice if we start paying that down at some point. That would be cool. Rather than us going out and borrowing more money to pay off the debt that we had 20 years ago, 5 years ago. It doesn't matter when the hell it was. Let's just keep kicking the can down the road. But here's the thing. This idiotic behavior is supported by other idiots. They're just called the progressive left. They're actual idiots. Unfortunately, I don't feel, but we're the idiot for wanting to talk sense and say, hey, maybe it's not a good idea that we have debt. Maybe it's not a good idea that we print money. Maybe it's not a good idea that we go continue to take out more debt to pay off the debt that we have. And then we, the taxpayer, pay off the interest. Maybe that's not a good idea. And guess what? We're all insane for that. Yeah, I was told I was insane and stupid and that I needed to shut up and learn something. And that you can't take our national debt and equate it to personal finance. There's a lot of mind-blowing statements in there. That is a lot of mind-blowing statements. You 100% can, because there are people in personal finance that go to payday loans that have to pay off debt with other debt. And that's why they get themselves in a big, massive hole that they've dug for themselves. In the same way, gee, it sounds like a big, massive hole that we dug for ourselves as a nation by going out and taking out more debt to pay off the debt that we already have. That seems like a hole that's been dug. By the way, that's a connection right there for you for personal finance. But you can't say things like that. Yeah, you can't say things like that in the debate because it proves them wrong. By the way, I want to call this out. Jeff, you noticed the guy that booted me, the guy that was running the whole debate, he shut up real quick when he was probably Googling the fact when I said, no, your taxpayer dollars actually do go down to paying down the debt and the interest. Right now, it's the interest. You notice he didn't add anything else after that because it ended up being true. If you listen to your constituents, then you will hear pain, and that pain is spread across the political spectrum. I don't hear anybody shouting pain, by the way. Nobody. Mind you, again, I'm in a leftist dominated area. The only people I hear shouting anything are the progressive left about things that are untrue. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, the cuts that you talked about, they're going to impact everyone. Correct. That's how cuts work. People are going to be impacted. In the same way, if you sat down because maybe we shouldn't do this because you can't bring personal finance into the mix because that doesn't make any sense. Maybe you should sit down and budget appropriately. And it turns out when you have crippling debt and your economy is stagnating, I think regardless of whether there's going to be president, that might happen. Well, you got a massive issue on your hands. You got to start cutting. Asked about Trump's pressure over Republicans in Congress, Crockett replied, it seems like they do whatever he wants them to do at all times, right? Well, yeah, if they don't, they get voted out, right? I mean, they're done. You're fired. Like behind closed doors, they will talk about how these things are crazy. You can find plenty of Republicans that will tell you that these tariffs are a problem. They will tell you that, and they know that it's a problem. That is why they don't want to go out and listen to their constituents by having town halls. Okay, well, who was it and what'd they say? Right now, you're just saying, well, a bunch of people said something, which is typical. That's what they do, right? They just say a bunch of stuff, and then that was it. That's it. Well, who is it? The St. Louis native said in a recent set of congressional hearings in which specific Republican representatives had been unwilling to defend or even speak out at all on amendments to the GOP tabled bills. They literally were silent, she told CNN. It was almost like they were told, don't say anything because we can't win. We just can't vote down these common sense amendments and get through this because this is what we've been told to do. Okay. Well, here's Joey trying to take a doo-doo. Lovely. All right. Well, she said a bunch of nothing. That's basically what that whole article was. A bunch of nothing. A bunch of Republicans are upset with Trump. Yeah, sure they are. Who are they? It's again, I want names. Like Elon Musk said when we did our podcast yesterday, picture it didn't happen. Now, it wasn't just it wasn't just that psycho coming out. There's a lot of psychos coming out of the woodworks. Again, all quiet for 4 years. Again, all quiet for 4 years. All voted for Joey. A guy that hit a golf ball backwards, looks for dead people in the crowd. You mention these things, immediately you get banned or silenced, by the way. Immediately. When you start hounding, saying, didn't you all vote for Joey? These are the same people that told me, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not even making this up in the slightest. All weekend I heard this. Donald Trump isn't fit to hold office. He's not cognitively sane. He's not cognitively able to be president. And you point out the fact that they voted for Joey. Insta-ban. They can't handle it. They can't talk about it. So speaking of crazy, you have a far leftist protester scolded AOC, one of their own people. They're eating their own now during a town hall event held Friday, accusing AOC of being a liar and a war criminal. You got to love when the left starts eating their own, and she don't know what to do here.
To defend and know what you're doing about the genocide in Gaza. You have war
Jerry, Steve. Shout out to Jerry Springer. Doesn't this seem like a... Oh, we're not done. Look at these psychos. Look at him. Let her answer you. Well, good morning. God. Oh, the left. All these Democrats in there. Eating themselves. Shame on you. I'm a nurse. Well, that was entertaining. That's really all I wanted to show you was these psychos just really going after one another. Freaking awesome. Something that's awesome is Trump fires back at a slanted question by the NBC News host, which we did cover over the weekend, but I think it's important to cover again. This is Kristen Welker from, I believe, Meet the Press. And multiple times over the way she framed questions, Trump hounded her during the interview. So here is a couple clips that we'll have for all of you regarding that interview. Here we go. This first one is prices are already going up. And Trump says, this is such a dishonest interview already. And that's her face. Hold on. Can I get that? Hold
on some popular items, tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline. And let me tell you, when you have the big thing, what he did, he spent like a stupid person, which he was, but he spent like a very stupid person. And that was bad for inflation. But what really killed us with inflation was the price of energy.
Prices are already going up.
This is already a really bad interview. So they keep going. Here's another one for you. In regards to her asking, what do you say to those who believe you are taking the country down an authoritarian path? Again, Trump called out the fact, and I think we'll try to get to the clip if we can, that this is just nothing but a negative interview. She's done nothing but ask negative questions. And she said later, well, we sat down and really thought about these questions. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you really put in a lot of effort to make sure you try to make Trump look bad as possible.
Say to those who believe you are taking the country down an authoritarian path.
Well, there you go again. Why don't you ask it a different way? Many people wanted to come into our country. Many people love Trump. I won the election. They didn't win the election. I got a lot more votes than they did. I won the popular vote. I won all 7 swing states by a lot. A lot of people were surprised. I said, I think you could win 4, maybe 5. No, I won all 7, and I won by a lot. And I won, actually, I think there was a lot of hanky-panky going on, but it was too big to rig. That's the good news. It's too big to rig. But let me just say, so when you make these statements about, people say this, well, they had their chance at the election and they lost big. So you should ask the question differently. You should say, what about the people that want to be in this country? What about the people that love this country?
But what do you say? I'm asking it on behalf of those people to give you a chance to respond to them. What do you say to those?
The only people she's asking on behalf of is the progressive left. I don't even think the Democrats think he's like the actual Democrats. There's people that claim they're Democrat, right? That aren't. They're actually progressive. Or there's these people that say, well, I'm a democratic socialist, whatever the hell that means. You're just a socialist. Cool. You put the word Democrat in front of it to try to offset the fact that it's scummy and evil that you're a socialist, and no socialist country's ever worked out correctly. So that's why you have to put Democrat in front, because you don't want to make yourself look bad, even though already putting the word Democrat in front of yourself looks bad. No, this is on behalf of the progressive left. This isn't even on behalf of independents either.
Those people, sir.
Those people are going to be very happy. They're going to have to see some results. And I think we had a great 100 days. There are a lot of people that say it was unprecedented. It was an absolutely unprecedented 100 days. And I hope that they're going to be right.
I like that he said that they need to see results. And I do agree. They do have to see results. And so do I. At some point, those results need to come in. My worry is, and this is one of the discussions I have over the weekend with also Republicans as well, is that when you look at the yield curve, the yield curve has always predicted, other than 2 times in American history, has always predicted that there would be a recession. And so I made the claim with somebody that's been in the market working with stocks and treasuries, all this stuff for like 30, 40 years. I said, well, isn't there a case to be made that we already knew back in 2022, maybe at the tail end of even 2021, that we were going to be going into recession because of that yield curve? And that's why Joe Biden wanted to put in that infrastructure bill to pump up the economy with that. Wouldn't it be one case that they actually saw this coming? And that's one of many variables that would go into adverting to make sure that we don't go into a full-blown recession. He agreed, by the way. And I said, wouldn't it make sense also that Donald Trump would want to increase GDP, the production that's taking place here, by implementing tariffs in these negotiations? And if negotiated correctly, we would be able to have a lot of investments coming back here in the United States, and that we would be able to offset some of the other things that we have with these negotiations with other countries, and that would also circumvent a recession. Even though this is predicting a recession right now, he agreed. Mind you, this isn't exactly a Republican guy. So again, if you actually are able to have not a debate, but a conversation with people and just pose possibilities of what might take place, what you will find is they'll say, oh yeah, that is possible. Let me give you another example that I had with progressive lefties. They say with tariffs, right? Because they always have to pinpoint the outliers and the weird stuff. Well, why did Donald Trump put tariffs on islands that only have penguins? There's no human beings there. There's no civilization whatsoever. And I said, is it possible? Mind you, you're just raising the question. You're not actually saying, is this a thing? Is it possible that Donald Trump did a blanket tariff on islands so that the Chinese aren't going to move said manufacturing in some way, shape, or form to these islands so they can get around these tariffs? And they go, well, that's impossible. The Chinese would never do something like that. And then I gave them a list of 7 countries that they're already doing it with: Vietnam, Bangladesh, and others. What do you mean? The Chinese, they built an entire island out in the South China Sea. What do you mean they're not capable of doing this? And they have been doing it for quite some time. Mind you, as I'm speaking, they're building it now. So I think that is a possibility of why. Now, would that Penguin Island be involved in that? No, probably not. Most likely not, by the way. But why not make life easy and go, fuck, just do everything then. Just do everything. Make life easy for yourself. Now, the other conversations they've always wanted to have in regards to immigration, this ties into jailing criminals and get rid of those that have committed crimes. And we covered this yesterday, was this Maryland man. He's a good guy. No, you guys, he's going to, not only will he pick up your newspaper from your driveway, he'll actually take the rubber band off it and put it nicely out right in front of your doorstep so you don't even have to walk in the cold. He'll ring your doorbell for you, talk to you on your ring, say, hey, Miss Jensen, I have your newspaper for you. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. This is the guy that cooks the burgers, right? He rents out his Airbnbs to the homeless. Hell, I don't know. I'm making stuff up at this point, but you get what I'm saying. No, he's a good guy. He wears this on his free time. Yeah, this is his clothes. Nobody brought this for him. That's what he wears. Oh, his tattoos on him? No, those are clean. What do you mean? Those are from just all the donation organizations that he's contributed to, and he just wants to put them in loving memory of them. Well, police suspected him of getting paid to traffic who? Traffic who? Oh, illegals. And do we have body cam footage of this? Absolutely. God, it kind of goes into what they were saying about him before, right? That this isn't the only instance that they believe that he was trafficking people. They actually had an old investigation on this guy, and they thought that he trafficked people. I'm telling you right now, and again, I'm glad that people were in there with me. They want this stuff. They love this stuff. The left will drive this country into the ground, which is why I wrote an entire book on it. The left are trying their best to destroy this country from the inside out. What you want, what you want, what you gonna do? Something's around time for you. Listen to what this guy wants to say.
Right? You know what you got here, right?
No. He's hauling these people for money. You got an ass hauler is what he's doing, but sometimes they commingle dope.
No, but did you see how squatted the back end?
There's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my guess.
He said they all work together, is what he's telling me, but he's the only one that knows English.
So let me ask you this. They don't have any luggage in there, right? And if you get them out, they're going to have a tube of toothpaste, and they're going to have toothbrushes in their pockets, I guarantee it.
So it goes on. The audio cuts in and out. That was the part that I wanted to show you, probably the most important part. He does get him out of the car, Mr. Garcia, right? The Maryland man, the good guy, right? And they put him inside the vehicle. No handcuffs, nothing. He still let him have his cell phone and all those things. But look, when you have an officer that's been probably patrolling that highway for years, sometimes even decades, the same crime happens. You keep running into the same stuff. Hell, you know the people, by the way. You've pulled the same people over and over because it turns out the same people that commit crime tend to commit the same crime over and over again. So you tend to know them on a first name basis. This guy, when I hear he said, yeah, if you check their pockets, they'll have a tube of toothpaste and a toothbrush. Because you want to know why he would say something like that? And he goes, I guarantee you, is because it's happened so many times throughout his time as a police officer or a trooper that he knows with a high degree of probability that's going to be the case. Now, why did they let them go? Why would they let them go if they think that they are trafficking people? Why on God's green earth would you allow that to happen? Well, they did contact ICE. Let me see if I can find it for you. And again, this might be a different article, but they did contact ICE and they didn't hear back from them. So I can't find it in here. Here we go. The law enforcement officers asked Abrego to sit in the back of the patrol car, but did not handcuff him. The officers called FBI and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, one source told Fox News, but they did not receive a response from ICE and were advised by the WHO, because this is in 2023, 2022. I can't remember the year that it was in, 2022. So Biden's FBI said, do not detain Mr. Garcia despite suspicion that he was trafficking illegal aliens. So you have a cop, a trooper, that said, hey, I think this guy is being paid to traffic 8 illegal aliens. The guy's illegal himself. I'm pretty sure that we should look into this. Nope. And by the way, you want to know why I believe this? is because of Biden's lack of actually enforcing the border and telling his law enforcement, DHS, FBI, everybody, not to apprehend illegal aliens and deport them or do anything else. I fully believe this. The footage emerged after Mr. Garcia was sent to El Salvador, which has the progressive left up in arms. And it's the only thing they could talk about because this is the outlier. They want to put their freaking whole reputation on this guy. Again, newly released documents indicated that Garcia bragged that he could murder his wife and get away with it. Quote, "Me and my kids are afraid now. He kicked me. He pushed me. He slapped me in the face and threatened me. He's just a Maryland man, though. Oh, come on, lady. Come. I don't believe it. I've seen the guy. He's a good guy. No, works the soup kitchens on the weekends. Passes around the basket during church services every Sunday and Wednesday. Yeah, the guy goes 2 times a week. He sweeps the parking lot. I know. Who does that? The guy's generosity is beyond belief. He sweeps the asphalt in the parking lot of the church. You wouldn't believe the things this guy does. He bakes muffins and cookies for the kids every week now. I know. It's unbelievable what this guy does. The illegal alien's wife said, according to the document, I have also a recording that he told my ex-mother-in-law that even if he kills me, no one could do anything to him. Oh, why would he say something like that? I think the audio broke out. I think he just misunderstood the guy. Come on, don't be silly. That wasn't a slap in the face. So that's who the Democrats want to get behind. No. Well, that's great, isn't it? Now, you also have here, hopefully you guys are enjoying the show, and might as well do one of these. We basically are almost fully funded, by the way, through Rumble now. Really, YouTube is completely not supporting our channel at all, basically. I just want to point that out. So on YouTube, I'm going to mention this because this week, potentially by the end of this week, we will hit 100,000 subscribers on the Bald Brad channel on YouTube. Now, how's that being done? I'm using advertising to do it through YouTube. Let me be clear here. Can everybody seriously, hand to God, listen to this? Because I want everybody to know this. And I've said it in the past, I want everybody to hear this. I have the same amount of viewership when I had 10,000 subscribers. And that's being generous. I actually have the same amount of viewership when I had 5,000 subscribers. I have the same amount of views per video when I had 10,000 subscribers as I will have when I have 100,000 subscribers, 10x. How is that possible? Do you want to know something? That isn't possible. It's only possible with human interaction called throttling and shadow banning. I put all my analytics into Grok. I put them in the ChatGPT, and I've talked with firms about this. 100%. Every single place said that they are throttling and shadow banning my channel. And by the way, no question. There was no question about it. It was maybe it's just, there was no question from anything. Everybody went directly towards throttling, shadow banning. So with that being said, I want to plug Rumble Premium. They are taking care of us. We're part of their creator program. They're fully basically funding this channel with the help of you guys, by the way. So if you want, pull your money out of YouTube membership, screw them. I know you get a badge. I'm trying to get badges over on Rumble. Head over to Rumble Premium. Again, this sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company, because if we don't get Rumble to survive, then we'll just continue to be silenced on these other big tech platforms. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for small creators, such as myself. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook literally admitted to it multiple times. They fell to the pressure from the Biden-Harris administration. Rumble did not. Rumble held the line. They're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you fine people. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers because they don't get much of it. Watching us, our show on Rumble, is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in the fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. I'm a part of Rumble Premium. I pay with that with my own money, by the way. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is too. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Again, if you have the means and believe in the cause, make sure you head over there and do that. By the way, you get all the goodies with that. You get into our Dark MAGA podcast that's for Rumble Premium only members. That's every Tuesday and Thursday evening, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that gets really, really wild sometimes. And Jason would know. If Jason's in here, Jason comes in and he has his normal announcement that he does. He pays a fee to say it. And well, we can't say it here on YouTube because we'll get banned, shadow banned, all those things. So if you're curious on Rumble, I will make sure I send the link to you guys over there on YouTube. I know you guys like YouTube, but Rumble is the place to be. Doesn't mean you can't use YouTube, but screw those guys. Trump rips judiciary after Judge Nix's mass deportation plan. Well, here we go again. President Trump blasted the courts early Saturday after a federal judge blocked his administration from using the 1798 Aliens Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan gang members. Can't it be so that judges aren't allowing the United States of America to deport criminals, including murderers, out of our country and back to where they came from? Trump wrote on Truth Social. If this is so far our country as we know it is finished, Americans will have to get used to a very different crime-filled life. This is not what our founders had in mind. The ruling came from the U.S. District Judge Fernando Rodriguez Jr., who determined Thursday that the 18th century law can only be used when an organized armed force threatens the United States, a standard he did not apply to multinational South American gangs. Rodriguez rejected the administration's argument that the law could target alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang in his 36-page decision. The proclamation makes no reference to and in no manner suggests that a threat exists of an organized armed group of individuals entering the United States at the direction of Venezuela to conquer the country or assume control over a portion of the nation. Isn't this wild? It is really crazy, man. It's wild and crazy because right now you have an executive branch that's finally trying to execute the laws on the books. And what I mean by that is deporting illegal aliens that aren't supposed to be here in the first place. Gang members, known gang members, by the way. Known gang members. You don't get due process when you're a known gang member. You already had it. That's how we know that you're a gang member and that you committed a crime. They're known criminals, known gang members. Yeah, see ya. Bye-bye. Doesn't work out for you. And you want to know what these gang members are seeking asylum for? They're saying that their life is in danger from other gangs. Well, I would imagine, yes, when you're from a gang-ridden country and that you yourself are a part of a rival gang, I would imagine that your life would be in danger because you're a gang member yourself and there's other rival gangs that want to hurt you. Welcome to how gangs work. Thus, the proclamation's language cannot be read as describing the conduct that falls within the meaning of invasion for purposes of the EAE, the Alien Enemies Act. Part of the 4 Alien and Seduction Acts signed by President John Adams in 1798 has rarely been invoked in modern times. Trump's proclamation activating the centuries-old law in March represented a significant shift in immigration enforcement strategy, specifically targeting what the administration describes as transnational criminal organizations, which is what they are. The administration deported more than 100 men to a high-security prison in El Salvador using the AEA, my bad, citing their tattoos and other evidence as proof of gang affiliations. This is what I brought up in one of my debates. They said, well, how do you know that they're MS-13? Because they have MS-13 tattooed on their body. It's part of one of the gang's regulations that you have to have on yourself. Like that 13 tattooed like a clown on your face or your back, your chest, everywhere, your gooch. Hell, I don't know. Your ass cheeks. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good indicator you're part of MS-13. I don't know anybody that has a 13 tattooed all over them that's not part of MS-13. But it's not just a 13, it's MS-13 tattooed on them. Come on. The case was brought by several Venezuelan nationals who claimed they were wrongfully targeted for deportation. Their attorneys argued that tattoos alone were insufficient evidence of gang affiliation and that individuals were denied the opportunity to contest the allegations against them. So they didn't get due process is what they're saying. It's all about due process. So you get to pay for all that, by the way. So not only do you have to pay for their food, their transportation, their rental assistance, their education, their lawyer fees, But now you have to wait for their court date to be in 2030. That's great. No, that's good. That makes a lot of sense. We're already $37 trillion. What's more? What's more money? Why do I get that thing? Again, I've talked to these. That's what's nice is you have a guy now that's able to reiterate what I've been debating these lefties on TikTok all weekend. So what's nice about that is I can tell you from the horse's mouth what they are saying. So before I would have to watch like news articles, right? Or I'd have to watch these long form podcasts to hear what these lefties are saying. Now I could just go talk to them myself and I can regurgitate the crazy crap that they're saying, which is bonkers. And the crazy crap that they want is they want these drug cartels. They want these violent gang members, these murderers, as I've been saying for years now at this point, in your cities, raping and killing your children. That's what they want. That I'm not saying that. Again, I am just telling you, you fine patriots, what they're saying. That's what they want. Now, Trump pressures Mexico to allow U.S. military to lead fight against drug cartels. Well, they're not going to allow that. Well, Mexico loves drug cartels. If they wanted to do something about it, they would have done it a long time ago. In the same way, the progressive left and Democrat Party love having illegal aliens in the country. If they didn't, they would have solved it a long time ago under Joe Biden's administration. But they didn't. President Donald Trump is pressuring Mexico to allow the United States military to get further involved in the fight against drug cartels, the Wall Street Journal reported. The journal, citing people familiar with the discussions, reported that a 45-minute phone call between Trump and Mexican president on April 16th got heated after Trump pushed for the U.S. military to lead in the fight against cartels. While the president of Mexico reportedly was not willing to allow the United States to take direct military action against cartels inside Mexico. Of course not, because they love it. There's only one reason. If somebody offers you help and you're not going to take it because they can't solve it themselves, and if they were able to solve it themselves, it's just another case that we're making that you love this stuff in your country because you're not willing to solve it. They want this. They want this stuff there. Trump has made fighting the cartels a top priority of his goal to secure the southern border and to stop the flow of fentanyl in the United States, vowing to wage war on the cartels and designating them as foreign terrorist organizations. Oh, well, how could you, Trump, you terrible orange bad man? You're so sick. How could you designate violent criminals as gang members? Wage war on the cartels. Shortly after his April 16th phone call with the president of Mexico, Fox News Spanish-speaking network, that Mexico is very, very afraid of the cartels. Well, yeah, they literally harm and murder people. We want to help her. We want to help Mexico, but you can't run a country like that. You just can't. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, the deadly reach of the Mexican cartels in the United States communities is extended by the wholesale level of trafficking and street dealers bringing the cartel drug market to the drug markets, sometimes creating their own deadly drug mixtures and exploiting social media and messaging applications to advertise and sell to customers. One thing that's not getting brought up enough, and I wish Bill Melogin? I always mispronounce his last name, but y'all know who I'm referring to from Fox News. Did a lot of great reporting down there at the southern border for like 4 years. I would be curious to see how impacted the cartel are now that the border is secure. Nobody's really getting through. So this has their numbers have to have dropped dramatically in terms of money because they were having a multi-billion-dollar industry of just the trafficking happening down there with humans, not even mentioning the drugs. So I'd be curious to see what kind of impact this has had on the cartels in terms of finances. Were they just, safing their money? Not like literally in a safe? Were they saving their money knowing that this would happen? And so they're still good? I don't know. I'll try to look out for you guys on that one and we'll get you updated on that. After Trump designated numerous cartels as terrorist organization, the president of Mexico pushed for a constitutional reform to further protect Mexico's sovereignty. The Mexican people will under no circumstances accept interventions, intrusions, or any other action from abroad that are detrimental to the integrity, independence, and sovereignty of our nation. Stop. Oh, God. Hold on a second. My mouth is dry after laughing. Oh, I got cotton tongue. Did she really say that? The Mexican people will under no circumstances accept interventions, intrusions, or any other action from abroad that are, this is a quote, detrimental. Shit, we're really going to do this. To integrity. independence. Or sovereignty of the nation, including violation of Mexican territory, whether land, sea, or air. Okay. Sure. Hey, we would love to come and help you with getting rid of those people that are raping and pillaging women and children and murdering people left and right and just kind of, the mob of the day for you guys. Yeah, we'd love to help you with that. No, you can't. It's going to ruin our integrity, our independence and sovereignty. Oh, I got a headache from that one. See, you got to keep going sometimes. You got to keep going through the article sometimes and really get down in there. Will Brad ever learn it? No, I won't. I will never get Bill's last name. I won't. It's just a thing between me and Bill. I have to hear it. I have to sound it out myself. Hey, welcome to the Bald Brad Show, Diane. It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Just found this channel. This is wonderful. Love it. Hey, well, welcome. Thank you. We'd love to have you. And you know what? Thank you for coming in the chat and introducing yourself to all of us. We got a lot of patriots. By the way, we're not just on YouTube, by the way, so everybody's going to know your name now, which is a good thing. We got a lot of patriots. Got like 100 patriots over at Rumble alone. There'll be about 7 to 1,000 people are going to see this on Rumble. Probably about another 700 people that are going to see this on YouTube. And then about another couple hundred they're going to see on X. So that's great. Welcome, Diane, to our community. Everybody say welcome to Diane on YouTube as well as Rumble. We're a small channel, but we're a big channel. Message was removed by moderator. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That wasn't me. I didn't delete his message. Maybe he deleted his own message because Pat's a moderator over there. He probably deleted his own message. All righty. Well, the Houthis have hit. Houthis are back in the mix again. I guess they're growing their testes once again, because missile hits near Israel's largest airport. The real culprit, though, is not Yemen, it's Iran. Well, yes, it is. Here we go. On Sunday morning, the Houthis in Yemen launched a missile targeting Israel's largest airport, where hundreds of people waited to board planes out of Israel. You have here, the missile was the 4th missile attack on Israel in 48 hours. From the Houthis, the other 3 were intercepted. Following the sirens that sounded a short while ago in a number of areas in Israel, a missile was launched from Yemen. Attempts were made to intercept the missile, and the results of the interception are under review. Sirens were sounded in accordance with protocol. And it looks like a massive crater here. Let's check this out. It's a huge crater. This is a giant boom boom. Oh yeah, that's a big crater. Damn, that's a big crater. Wow. Damn, that is a massive crater there. Let's see what it says here. The massive crater created by the Houthis' ballistic missile impact this morning near Guran International Airport in central Israel. The missile impacted next to an access road outside the airport, with the crater measured to be 25 meters across and several meters deep, suggesting that this was likely equipped with a low explosive warhead. I mean, if that's a low explosive, I can't imagine the hole that a freaking big explosive would make. But we're going to continue to allow this to happen. Joey was the one that allowed this. And from what I've been told, Pete Hegseth is not allowing this to take place. So I know Pete Hegseth has been going pretty hard on the Houthis from what I've been hearing. 422 international flights were scheduled to leave the airport on Sunday, according to the Israel Airport Authority. Numerous airlines canceled their flights. I think rightfully so. It's the last thing you want is to be shot down out of the air into Israel for the next 24 hours, including United Airlines, Delta, and Air France, and all those other list of airlines. Since the inauguration of President Trump, Israel has refrained from responding directly to the Houthi attacks, partly at the behest, but the wake of the latest missile attack, Israeli officials have reportedly revising their perspective. And I think they should. I mean, hey, I think you should go after the Houthis if they're going to allow this to happen and go after your civilians. I mean, what do? You got to do something. In the same way, if somebody tried to pull this crap on us, what do I expect us to do? Go and bomb them back. Saudi Arabia and the U.S. say Iran has smuggled weapons, including drones and cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, to the Houthis during Yemen's civil war in violation of UN arms embargo. Well, the UN's a joke. Oh, wow. Wow, the UN put in an embargo. Well, that really stopped them from committing heinous crimes. Well, the UN has so much authority. The UN is a waste of money. The UN is a joke. It's a bunch of people to puppet themselves up as if they're important to say things about other countries that, commit human rights violations all the time. It says such missiles and drones have been used in attacks on Saudi Arabia, as well as its ally, the United Arab Emirates. The Houthis could not operate at this level without Iranian arms, correct? Training and intelligence. Tehran has provided advanced drones, anti-ship cruise missiles, precision strike ballistic missiles, and medium-range missiles to the Houthis, Reuters noted in January 2024, then quoted an Iranian insider confessing the Revolutionary Guards have been helping the Houthis with military training on advanced weapons. Oh, isn't that lovely? A group of Houthi fighters were in Iran last month and were trained in an IRGC base in central Iran to get familiar with the technology, the new technology, and the use of missiles. But Joey still wanted to give them $10 billion of humanitarian aid. And for those on audio only, I put that in air quotes because we were told by John Kirby on the White House podium, hey, well, this is just money that has to go through a United States vendor. Yeah, we're the ones that will oversee this vendorship. And they're just going to kind of pick and choose like a buffet. And then we say, okay, that's cool. You can have that stuff, but we'll monitor it. We'll really, I'm winking for those on audio. We'll monitor this stuff for you and make sure that nothing terrible happens because the Biden administration have been known to not let anything terrible happen. Okay. So turns out when somebody gives you, I'll give you a prime example. You guys donate your hard-earned money through, whether it's through YouTube or Rumble, which is always greatly appreciated, by the way. If you want to make a donation, I'm always open for those donations, those donos. But you also go to the Bald Brad website and make a donation too. Well, if I know that I can have a certain amount of donations every single month for the Bald Brad Show, doesn't that shore up personal money of mine to go and do something else with it? Like if I don't have to put an extra $100 into the software that I have every single month, then doesn't that shore up some money for me because it's fungible? I don't know why this is hard for them, but it is. I don't know. It is for some reason. I don't know why. Turns out that when somebody else is paying for something, you could put more money into something else. It turns out that I still keep my budget, my personal budget for the show, and whatever you guys put in, I also put back in. So I actually don't spend, I don't treat it as like, oh, well, because I have $100 coming in, I don't need to spend $100 on the show anymore. No, I still spend my money, the same budget that I have every single month on it. But that's maybe a little bit too TMI of some stuff for you guys. We're not going anywhere. We're still hanging around for a little bit longer. I got more stuff I want to cover here regarding the Trump administration because the White House budget features historic increases in defense spending, slashes woke funding. Love this. Thank you, sir. This is exactly what I voted for, Mr. President. The White House Office of Management and Budget. By the way, the moderators over at Rumble, can you guys maybe find a channel over at Rumble that we can raid when we're done here in about 5 minutes? Please. Moderators, help me, please. Find somebody, or even everybody else. I mean, it doesn't have to be moderators. It can be everybody else. We're a community here. Help me find somebody to raid. The White House Office of Management and Budget released President Donald Trump's discretionary budget request for the fiscal year of 2026 on Friday, showing big increases in border and defense spending, which clearly needs to happen, as well as massive cuts to woke funding priorities instituted by President Joe Biden's administration. One thing I need to look into, and maybe I need to do this on my own time, is from this new budget, how much is going to go towards a border wall? Because I want this thing built. I want, as Trump said, I want a huge border wall. I want Elon Musk to be able to see this from Mars. I want a border wall, man, like really, really bad. And I want this thing to be solid. The new budget reduces non-defense discretionary spending by $163 billion or 23%, which is it's a massive cut from the 2025 enacted level. That is the lowest non-defense spending level since 2017. At the same time, defense spending will increase 13% under the proposed budget, and appropriations from the Department of Homeland Security will be increased by 65%. In a release, OMB said that the increases in funding are to ensure that our military and other agencies repelling the invasion of our border have the resources they need to complete the mission. And I want to know what he means by this, because completing the mission in my mind is building a border wall. The funding increases will be achieved if the one big beautiful bill passes. OMB said in a release that it will be enacted with a simple majority in the Congress and warns against Democrats holding it hostage for wasteful spending increases that have been the status quo in Washington. Quote, for decades, the biggest complaint about the federal budget was wasteful spending and bloated bureaucracy. Director of the Office of Management and Budget said in a statement on Friday morning, but over the last 4 years, government spending aggressively turned against the American people, and trillions of our dollars were used to fund cultural Marxism, radical green new scams, and even our own invasion, which was correct. And these green new scams was all those climate change funding packages that were being sent to other countries that were in the sake of, oh, well, this is clean energy. This is good for us. We're bringing down the weather. But yet, it was just all money laundering at the end of the day. You also have this taking place. No agency was spared in the left's taxpayer-funded cultural revolution. At this critical moment, we need a historic budget, one that ends the funding of our decline, puts America first, and delivers unprecedented support to our military and homeland security. Mind you, yeah, that's the budget. But again, I'm going to emphasize this again. We're $37 trillion in debt, and the progressive left don't care. They legitimately say, well, you could just keep taking out. You could just keep doing this. It's fine. There's no big deal here. Everything's good to go. Yeah. Okay. No, that's a great idea. That's really smart. Yeah, these are the same people that can't budget themselves. But, you can't, hey, remember, you can't use personal finance with this stuff, you guys, because personal finance, that's an outlandish statement to make when it comes to, a bigger government budget. You can't do that. That's silly. Oh, stop that. Stop that type of language. It's ridiculous. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, it's always helpful to hit that like and subscribe button. We do this each and every morning. 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, we should hit 100,000 subscribers. I can't even believe I'm saying this. At the end of this week is my projection. I can't even believe this is happening. We will do a celebration stream where we'll just hang out for that 100,000. Brad, I looked for other live channels on Rumble to raid. Can't find one I really like for us to raid. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for trying. I'll see if I can find one for us. Again, we're really the only morning show, which is kind of bonkers that, it's crazy to think about that we are Alan was around, but Alan's only doing Wednesdays now. We are basically the only morning show on Rumble, which is crazy. And I guess we have our own niche spot. I mean, there also is, there's the big people. Where I guess somebody could say, well, you're big too, Brad, if you have that many subscribers, I suppose. But, we're not as big and highlighted on Rumble anymore as, say, like Dan Bongino's network or others. There's Patriot Mike, which we could drop in again. It'd be nice if somebody could rate us every once in a while. We've never been rated before, but we've rated a bunch of other people. So we'll kind of see what's going on with that. Let's do this. I'm going to send... Let me see this. I'll send everybody over to, I don't know. Let's see. Dear America is live. Have never watched them. Dear America. Let's look. Let's check Dear America out. Yeah, I think that's a good look. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, we'll send everybody over there. So what we're going to do now, if you're not familiar, at the end of our stream, we always send our viewers over to somebody else's podcast, and then we plug our show. Everybody goes in there and says, we're from the Bald Brad Army, Bald Brad Army strong, join the Bald Brad Show, we're a community of patriots, stuff like that. And then we can, plug the show that way. So we'd really appreciate everybody's help and support in doing this. We gain a lot of followers from this as well over at Rumble. So if you head over that link that I posted in the chat, thank you, by the way, Holly, for that. That's a great big milestone. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It is a milestone. It is pretty cool. It's still like it's something hard to believe. I'm going to send everybody over. Oh, they're leaving now. They're actually raiding Vince. Never mind. Well, that's not going to happen. But we'll raid somebody. Dear America's, good thing we didn't raid them because they're about to raid somebody else. You know what? Let's just what do we got here? Well, I'll send you to Wake Up Patriot. What's Wake Up Patriots? What's the Wake Up Patriot podcast? What is this podcast here, guys?
Insane and acting like demons, running around screaming, supporting their demon fellow followers, and the American people want.
Maybe we won't raid somebody. Here's always the plug. This is the easy one to do. We'll send you over to Sean's channel. We'll just raid Sean. Sean loves us. We love Sean. Everybody have a blessed day. Take care of one another. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. And folks, I will see you tomorrow morning here on the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.